Hello and welcome to Gobs and Goblets with your host Hannah
and Maddie.
And what are we doing today, Maddie?
We are foraging, and you might be thinking, why are they outside? Well, because we're foraging. But basically, we decided for season 2, a way to start off our first season that's got nothing to do with us really, or everything, because we are human at the end of the day. We're doing the Stone Ages.
We're going right back to the beginning.
We are prehistoric. What?
And we're taking you with us every step of the way.
So, without further ado, we're going to go meet Chris, the guy of all plants.
Well, don't do it unless you're with an expert. If you're not sure, don't try it.
Hello and welcome back to Gobs and Goblets for season 2 with your host Maddie
and your host Hannah.
So today we've decided to go all out. We've taken a trip back to the first ever existing humans really, and on that note we've been doing some foraging. We're in a camper van, we've got a fire going.
Gobs and Goblets has gone on tour.
Yeah, with one audience member, which is the cameraman. Yay! But yeah, we thought it'd be cool for this season to go back and look at really early human life, because do you know what? I just think it's so fascinating.
Oh yeah.
Like before I went to university, what I wanted to study was a combination of film and prehistoric studies. But I didn't. So that's that.
She's a journalist now.
I am, can you tell, guys? Right, so we're going all the way back to the hunter-gatherers. And now they were groups of nomadic people that really were the first ever sort of human life as we know it, I guess. Essentially, this was pre-agriculture. It was all about skin and bone and hands and fists. But do you know what? Our early ancestors, they were quite smart. They had got the knack of building a fire. They had also sort of started creating tools that were used for hunting. And well, obviously there was a lot of gathering as well. Their diet consisted of hunted down meats and nuts and fruits and berries, and the more you know. Basically, the earliest humans were known as hominins or hominins. We're not entirely sure. Nothing has changed since season 1. We still can't pronounce anything. But 2 million years ago, they were thriving in Africa, and they had quite an intricate knowledge of plants, and they made tools, and lots of archaeologists look at the places that they would have settled, and they found some interesting things, probably not from 2 million years ago because that's quite old, but they found some very prehistoric things, some of them being spears and other sort of like, I need to stop playing with this. It's a mushroom, guys, you wouldn't believe it. Sorry. And other sorts of I was going to say jousting equipment. It's not, is it?
Not
really?
just like tools for hunting, essentially.
Tools for hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some of these tools that came along a bit later included a bone that was like shaped, and this was used for catching fish. And what they would do is they'd shape it so it was like a hook almost, out of bones. Anyway, and then they would capture the fish with that, anything that has like soft enough tissue. Then you obviously have your spears, which they would use stones to chip away at it, or not stones, rocks, whatever they found, and made it into like flints and whatnot. But do you want to know something that's really interesting?
Go
and
on.
this was like, because I thought, and this has been, you know, going around my mind quite a bit, how did they know what was poisonous and not poisonous? Some early humans, they were smart, okay? What they would do to test and see if something was poisonous is they would put it at the end of their spear. So when they went to kill an animal, if it killed the animal quicker, or if the animal had a different reaction to if you were to just kill it with a spear, that's how they would assess how poisonous or toxic something was from the reaction of that. And they wouldn't know straight away, but after a little bit of time would go on, they would then be able to tell that it was specifically this plant that's, you know, not edible because this is the reaction it causes. And then that news and information would be spread across the families and different cultures, and, you know, they were just very knowledgeable, I suppose. So the hunter-gatherers had some distinguished characteristics. So something that was quite interesting is that they weren't scavengers. Like, they would go out on the hunt for food. It wasn't like they wouldn't eat from animals that had already been preyed upon, which I'm lazy. If I was back in the day, I definitely would have let a leopard do the dirty work. Do you know what I mean? No?
Guess, yeah.
You get your hands dirty?
Well, if I was trying to survive, I would have, yeah.
I can't see you taking on like a
No,
she-wolf.
but I'm also, when I get hangry, that's a different story.
This culture of killing really accelerated when the Homo erectus came about 1.9 million years ago. Stop laughing, Harry.
Ain't Valentine's Day no more.
Anyway, they had larger brains, but also it had a shorter digestive system. So they were... Yes!
What, then the Homo... Hominids? What were the previous one?
Hominins.
Hominins. So smaller than the... Sorry.
Yeah, so their digestive system was more compact, which meant that they could process food a lot quicker than their ancestors at the time.
Fascinating.
Isn't it just?
I know.
Anyway, they were able to, you know, as we just established, digest the food a bit quicker and a bit better. So they were like, I suppose... they were really the starters of the quick process. You know how like nowadays we like things now, we like it snappy from Sainsbury's, you just go and pick it up. They were the same, you know, they just wanted to get their food a bit quicker, they could consume it a bit quicker, and they ate it. And the Homo erectus was actually the first group of humans, homos, that could stand up on their legs, and they were not stand up on their legs. They were built for long distance walking.
Right.
So they ended up spreading across to Asia and Europe, and you know, they really just got the party started going worldwide. Call it Mr. International Pitbull. I don't know. Then another type of human, homo, that I'm really gonna mess up the name of is the Homo Heidelbergensis. And they were around 700,000 years ago to 200,000 years ago. And they were the first version of the human that managed to adapt to a colder climate. And this is going to link quite nicely into the next part, which is my favourite, the Neanderthals. Basically, okay, so the structure of a Neanderthal. They've got big heads, brains were about the same size as ours, but they're a bit smaller. No jaw, broad build. But here's what I thought was
No jaw?
like it was very, not really a chin or a jaw.
Right,
Like,
okay.
well, maybe a jaw, but they didn't really have a chin. It was just all a bit...
Mash up, okay.
But the thing that I found the most interesting is the Neanderthals were after this, the second group to have to adapt to colder climates. Why did they have such a big nose, you might be wondering? nobody was wondering. It was because in the colder climates, when the air was going up, the nose was big and it would like humidify it, so it would warm them up. And it's also why they had bigger chests, I'm guessing, because it's like more space for oxygen, makes life a bit easier.
I wouldn't like all that cold going up my nose though.
But it warms it up before it gets into your body.
I wouldn't
do you know
think
what
that.
I mean? It's
Well, I
like
do
how,
now.
It's like how you have. Oh no! I was gonna say people that have bigger ears, like your ears, like elephants, like that releases a lot of heat. So this was an internal way of heating yourself up a bit, I guess. But yeah, they were about the same size as humans as well, a bit shorter, probably about my height.
So quite short.
I'm growing still, guys. But yeah, they developed a lot of the hunting techniques at the time. Do you know what? I heard a funny story. I don't know if it's that funny really. It's probably not. But there was a guy that lived around Dickens times. He was from Germany and I can't remember his name. It's here. He actually called the Neanderthals Homo stupidus.
Why?
Because Homo sapien, it means wise man. And he thought that anything else was stupid. So they called them Homo stupidus. And then after a bit more research, they realised, oh, they're actually quite intelligent. Hunter-gatherers also, you know, it existed for a really long period of time. And it was essentially, you know, the way of life back then. But all of a sudden, you had the Neolithic agriculture. I was going to say rise. I don't think it was like...
Well, they call it the revolution.
That's the word, the revolution. And this was basically when in 10,000 BC, going back to my favourite place, Mesopotamia, they decided to start cultivating food and making it a bit easier for people. But we're actually going to go into the whole Neolithic revolution in a future episode because we don't want to have too many spoilers. Anyway, so that revolution happened and I don't know how they did it, to be honest, the hunter-gatherers. I know I'm being so serious. Foraging this morning has made me realise that in winter time you were going to starve. What did I eat? 2 rose hips,
one tiny little pine nut,
which was just soapy.
Because they must have fallen recently and make a really nice piney tea.
Oh wow!
I've
got a pine nut.
show it. And you can see the taste of it.
You can do it? You can eat it raw? I die, I swear to God.
Oh gosh.
Try it.
There's fluff on mine. I think it's from my...
How weird.
It tastes like so.
Chris was telling us this is called Robert and it's very high in vitamins and you can make a tea from it and usually pink flowers grow out of it. And it's quite common to find. So this is Robert.
Does my hair look good?
More importantly. I mean, we went probably at the worst time. There was frost everywhere. You'll see in a minute. This is
what
life.
people have to deal with.
That is actually true.
We have Tesco.
Yeah, we do. We do, but we were really lucky. Chris was amazing today.
Absolutely wonderful.
He managed to find so much, even in these conditions, even in this season. Apparently the best season for it is spring or autumn.
Yeah.
But yeah, they would have had to do it in any season, exactly.
They would have.
This is a turkey mushroom. They come in different colours. This one, the darker shades.
It's dark because it's gone off.
Okay, it's dark because it's gone off.
I found a new life hobby actually.
It's fun, this.
It's medicinal. They use it in pharmaceuticals.
You can make a tea out of it or an extract.
Yeah.
There we go. Ah, right.
Wow.
Do you know how many mushroom types exist?
Just 4 times more than plants.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's wow.
That's blown me away.
Yeah, I know.
So, loads.
And you know what? We now talk about this like hunter-gatherer periods as it's something from the past, which it obviously is.
Yeah.
But there are still people today that, you know, our hunter-gatherers around the world, the communities are very small and far between, but it is, you know,
still a way of life.
It's still a practice, and it's crazy. I forgot to mention as well, because I just got reminded of like some scandal that happened ages ago. The thing with Neanderthals and other old people is that cannibalism was also a thing. So if we were living back then, and you know, it was the middle and it was the middle of winter, and we can only forage some rose hips,
you were going to start eating people.
World.
So you wouldn't kill an animal, but you're now thinking, oh yeah, I would turn to cannibalism.
No, I wasn't thinking I'd turn to cannibalism, but like if I had to, like I was going to say I'd so eat you.
I think it's so easy for us to say what we would have or wouldn't have done, you know?
Yeah.
But wait, you have to be in that situation.
I would hope we just starve together, actually. You'd eat me!
I would find someone else to eat. I wouldn't target you. No, I wouldn't eat Harry either.
I was pointing at the camera. Sorry, no, we actually love our viewers.
So obviously on this episode, we're kind of focusing more on the plant side. Okay, so pre-1989, the only sort of research we were working with or historical findings were basically the idea that the Stone Age diet and what the hominids were eating were just primarily meat-based diets, just animal carnivore diets. This actually wasn't the case. They were eating fish and they were eating loads of different types of vegetables.
Vegetables?
Sorry, plants. Vegetation, plants. Sorry, not vegetables, plants. So basically there were some excavations done between 1989 to 1997 in the north of Israel. I believe it's pronounced Gesher Benot Yaakov. Now, this basically what they found here was 55 different species of edible plants.
Wow.
From 780,000 years ago.
Are they fossilized plants?
I'm going to get onto that.
Oh.
So, how did they find these remains, you may be wondering, and how did they know they were that old? So basically what happened is in the area, the site had been submerged under the Jordan River and the Hula Lake, and this basically created the perfect conditions for these remains to be preserved because the conditions were waterlogged and they were also anoxic. Now, anoxic means there's no oxygen. If there's no oxygen, bacteria can't thrive, and therefore no bacteria can eat these plant remains. So basically what happened was with this condition as well, sediment got in really quickly, which was going to protect it. And in this sediment, I'll get onto this in a bit, but they actually found some tools that the hunter-gatherers would have used.
Sorry, not to sound really stupid, but what is sediment?
All like bits of rock.
Okay, thank you. I was not good at geography.
Yeah.
History is my vibe.
Anyway, they found tools within the sediment. So yeah, they found all these species of plant, and they also found there was a wide range. We're talking acorns, legumes, all different types of things. And on the tools, which were made of basalt, so basalt's a type of rock. So there were two types of tools that were found. So they were maces and anvils. We'll put some pictures for you there. And these would have been used to basically crack the seeds open. And yeah, and this is like the earliest form of evidence of basically tools used on food.
And it was a nutcracker. Who would have thought?
Well, essentially, yeah. And they also found basically remains of like starch. So from starchy tubers and nuts, and obviously these would have contained a lot of carbohydrates, which was essential for energy because of course these hunter-gatherers would have had to use a lot of their energy to hunt and gather. So that would have been crucial in aiding that support.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wonder how long it would take them to get a piece of, I was gonna say meat, but like how long it
must
would
have,
take.
yeah. It would have really depended.
Speaking of a piece of meat, sorry, I've got to add this. No, sorry. No. On a serious note, I've got to add this little story time very quickly. Hannah knows what's coming, but she doesn't really, but she does. So speaking of hunting meat and animals, we were thinking like, okay, what can we cook for this episode? Obviously we ended up going with foraging, but Hannah was like, you know, we were on FaceTime and she just goes, oh, like, you know, why don't we cook some mammoth? Like, that existed back then. I said, well, where are you going to get some mammoth from? She goes, we could just order some on Amazon. And I was like, she's like, yeah, we don't get it in this country. We can just order it on Amazon. I said, they've been extinct for a hot minute.
It's been a very long week, and I was thinking mammoth, like mammal, like any sort of animal. And
just ship it to you on next day delivery.
Amazon's got loads of crazy stuff. Please sponsor us, or actually, anyway. But you may be asking, how do they know that these remains were from 780,000 years ago? So we're not a science podcast, we are a history podcast, so I'm going to very briefly explain, because I was reading it and even I wasn't understanding. So there's something called isotope dating, and this has to do with radioactive decay. So scientists know about the ages with radioactive decay, and they can use this to basically figure out ages. There's also something called paleomagnetic analysis, and this has to do with essentially the magnetism of rocks in distinction to the location of the North Pole. Anyway, I said I wouldn't get into it that much, but if you want to research it, please knock yourselves out. It's incredible.
I don't understand the magnetism.
Neither do I, Maddie, and we're not a science podcast, so that's why we don't understand it. But it has to do with location and magnetism of ancient rocks, apparently. Somehow they have magnetism. Can you believe it?
No, I bloody can't.
No, I know. But anyway, so, you know, these excavations it's so important they happen, because that's taught us way more about, because through diet we learn so much about the societies back then. And
oh my gosh, they were quite well developed, you know, it's crazy.
They were.
Even with the caves or whatever where they, you know, they find this stuff, they also find burial sites as well. Like people, it was very tight-knit community.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's evidence that Neanderthals would look after their elder and their children, and they would take care of people that probably wouldn't make it through.
They worked in groups, that was one of the main,
But it is fascinating to think that it's like so long ago yet, you know.
Yeah.
Human contact still important. Keep your friends close, and I was going to say your enemies close, but I don't know why. You're not going to spare them.
No. But anyway, yeah, and they also found a lot about fish, but we will save that for another episode.
You guys are spoiled.
Spoiled this season. But yeah, this is some of our findings with our lovely Chris. It was fascinating.
Oh my gosh, it's so
fascinating,
interesting. Like you'll see a clip of us eating this leaf,
Oh.
and when I tell you, it was the most bizarre experience I've ever experienced. I put it in my mouth. I thought, oh, this is just like an average leaf. That's incredible. That just punches you in the face. That is.
Good morning.
No, because when you first start biting into it, you're not getting a lot. You're thinking, where's this going? This is
No, it
like
hit
a
me
leaf.
immediately. I was like,
And then bam.
very good.
Oh, if I had a Michelin star restaurant, I'd put that right on the menu. Catch everybody off guard. Pow, lemon. You think you got a salad? Pow, no.
You're too funny, right?
That was so, like, you don't even understand. That was so refreshing. And do you know what? I've been eating a coffee all morning. It's all woken me up. It was beautiful. Genuinely.
It was amazing. And the amount of medicinal properties these all have. I mean, Chris was talking about, you know, making teas, extracts, but then he makes syrups as well from some of these plants, and yeah, it's incredible.
But it's crazy to think, like, people for the longest time did not rely on paracetamol. They fully... No, I do rely on paracetamol
Maddie
quite often.
lives off paracetamol.
It's not good. Anyway,
No.
Chronically ill. But, like, you know, beforehand, I want to do more foraging. I feel like it's something that people need to get into. Like, genuinely, you're out there in nature, you're living your best life.
It was really fun.
I had only had one coffee, okay? I don't do well without, like, at least 3 in the morning. I've been up since, like, 6, hadn't slept the night before because Hannah was kicking and shoving. And then I'm out there and I was having the time of my life. Like I felt so happy, and people should experience this more often.
But also, this is so important to say, like we really should say this at the beginning of the episode, don't do it unless you're with an expert. If you're not sure, don't try it. Because what was, I think, the most interesting thing I learned from Chris today, you go one drop too much, that's it, you're gone. So you have to be so careful. It's not a game. I'm saying this for health and safety reasons. No, but it was really interesting because Chris was mentioning a lot that, you know, things would have like beneficial properties or medicinal properties, but then if you had too much of it, it would actually kind of eliminate all those properties and actually
I suppose
reduce...
it's like if you have like 20 paracetamols, it is not going to be good for you, but if you have one, you're fine.
Well, yeah, of course, but the fact of it having actually a reverse effect of like it taking away the nutrition of what you eat.
Yeah.
Which was fascinating. So anyway, if the rule is if you're unsure, it's a no.
It's a no.
It's a no. And we had a few of those moments today, even with Chris.
Could they kill you?
Well, they said Judas betrayed Jesus.
Yeah. Oh.
And then him hang himself on the elder. That's why it's named for the mushroom Judas-Chia.
Can I feed it, please? Oh, it just feels quite.
It's gonna go jelly after.
But okay, so can you eat? Can you eat this?
Yeah, it's a medicinal one. It's very popular with Chinese.
Oh my gosh, it literally looks like it has veins in it.
You got natural compounds for anti-inflammatory of the joints without causing no problem. Well, I wouldn't really.
Oh wow.
You can probably chew a bit. But
Do you know what? If you wouldn't do it, I'm not gonna do it. And it's just like
jelly.
serious.
It doesn't have much taste, but it's medicinal and it's additional for meals. I'm
Oh,
glad
it's
to find.
really thin and flimsy.
He said, I'm not sure. And we said, okay, no.
I wasn't going to risk my life for you lot, sorry. The
No.
pine, putting pine in my mouth.
But you know what they say, don't take candy from strangers. And today was our first day meeting Chris, and we were really taking berries from a stranger today and fully enlisted our trust in him. But we're here so far.
Give it another 10 hours. No, joking. No, there's something very trusting about him. So
No, he was brilliant. Anyway, Chris, thank you so much. You were amazing today. Couldn't have done it without you. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode.
yeah, we've missed you, and I'm sure you've missed us. So
Don't know if they have.
they're back here.
But anyway, hopefully see you next week.
See you.
Be nice.
I'm being nice.
Fling chicken thighs.
You threw it back yesterday.
Yeah, in a package by accident, thinking you could take it. Hello. That was free. Come foraging.
Go foraging.
But don't like pick them all up unless the chew's fallen.
Oh, you just grabbed the stinging nettles with no protection.
No,
Little sting in your hand.
it does.
Hey, what?
It does.